Herb, how much does your lack of depth hurt in a game like this? You got a couple of guys playing 40 minutes, one playing 37. They have so many fresh bodies they can throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not a real deep team, but you know, I don't know that fatigue, was the reason why we didn't win today. I mean, perhaps ideally we would be a little bit deeper at this point, but I don't know how significant it was in the whole scheme of things. Obviously, they have excellent depth, and they do a great job of rotating their guys.
You talk about the point of the game where Carson got his fourth foul, and they kind of turned there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up his first foul on the first defensive possession of the game, and then, he picked up his second foul, and, we in and out, offense, defense, trying to get him to halftime with two, but still didn't want to sit him for, a majority of the first half, and then obviously he picked up his third foul on the charge, the last possession of the first half, and then boom. Still with a big chunk of time left, he picks up his fourth. We try to give him a couple possessions with us on the sideline, but, at that point we were down. And then, they did a good job of attacking him with 4 fouls, and he was understandably cautious. And so, I thought defensively that was difficult on us.
Coach, you've done a good job this year controlling the turnovers. Was there something that they did that forced you in 17?
Well, they're a good defensive team, and I don't mean to take anything away from their effort defensively, but, I'd like to think that we control, our turnovers more than our opponent does. And obviously, you don't have to look too far beyond that number to see why we struggled. 17 turnovers in a game like this is just far too many. And, that was a significant factor in the game.
Coach, talk about how dominant they were in the paint, outscoring you by 14, which is almost the difference in the game in the score.
Yeah, it seems like both backcourts, put up the majority of points. Johnson and Lyons for them, Gordon and Carson for us. But we did not get a lot of baskets, at inside. I can remember Jordan got one on a roll on a pick and roll, and Ruslan had one jump hook in the first half, and I think that's it. We had some layups, obviously, off of different actions, but in terms of, our post people, we had two baskets, and, they do a good job of going inside to Hill, who's a tough matchup, a guy who could play inside out, and, they got us inside with Ashley as well on a couple of possessions. So points in the paint, as well as points off the turnover, went to their advantage.
What was Chris Coleman's situation?
Chris just remains suspended. We'll get back to everybody on when he'll return.
Coach, why at this point in his career at ASU, it's just not clicking with him that he doesn't walk the fine line to do what's necessary to remain active on this roster?
I don't know.
How did that handcuff you today?
Well, I mean, obviously, Chris plays a really important role for us. We rely on his defensive toughness. We rely on his ball handling and playmaking. He's having a really good senior year for us, and we'll get through this and come back.
What did you say of Carrick today?
Obviously, we've been relying so heavily on Carrick, and he's been having a sensational senior year. And today wasn't his day in any way, shape, or form. And for us to absorb that kind of game from Carrick is a lot to ask of our team right now, and because we depend on him in so many ways. And today just wasn't his day at the ballpark.
Was it I'm sorry, go ahead.
Was
Was it the length curve that they threw at him? You think?
Oh, I don't know if there's any one dimension like that. I just don't think it was his day. Even down the home stretch, he had a couple of wide open shots with no length on them, and it just didn't go down. So you chalk it up for a guy who's having a great season. Today he didn't have one of his best games, and we're a team that needs him to be at a really high level and have one of his best games. On a day like today, playing a nationally ranked team like Arizona.
What do you make of Nick Johnson?
He's a terrific player. I mean, he's just so explosive off the dribble. He's so athletic, and they did a good job of going to him on dribble ISOs. I thought he and Mark Lyons, you know, in particular, were really good today.
Did they do as good of a job of getting to the rim as anybody has against you guys?
They did today, yeah. I mean, I thought, you know, their ability to drive the ball, you know, past our first line of defense and then our second line and finally, you know, over our bigs, our third line was really effective. We had a difficult time from really the first offensive possession when Solomon Hill caught it at the top and went in for the dunk. And by the way, I just can't say enough about Solomon. I think he is one of the most underrated players in the country. I mean, that guy is so good, so good. And, you know, he's inside, outside. He makes big plays and big shots. He's a tough matchup. He is really a special player.
Evan Gordon's had a yo-yo type season that kind of kicked you guys in the game there, especially the first half.
He did. No, Evan played an excellent game offensively. Even defensively, you know, had the big steal right before the half to give us a little momentum going into the break. So, you know, like I said, offensively, you know, we were pretty much limited to what Jahi and Evan were able to muster this afternoon. Defensively, you know, the turnovers hurt us. The drive hurt us. And their backcourt, along with Solomon Hill, were tough matchups for us, especially, you know, their ability to attack Jahi with 4 fouls. I think that's a, you know, fair summarization.
Hey, Coach, from your perspective, when you watch film and you talk to your team, what will you tell those guys to move on from this loss for you guys to beat the next opponent?
Well, we'll always do the same thing. You know, we'll try to learn from the game. You know, we'll inspect it closely. And we do that after a win as well. And then we'll have to quickly turn the page because, you know, in college basketball, you know, you have a few days and the next game is on you.
Thank you.
Anything